Angry Guy here, and restaurants are replacing women with robots. Guys, if you're enjoying the content, please help get the channel to 100,000 subscribers by subscribing to the channel if you already haven't, liking the video, and turning on notifications to never miss another video ever again. Now let's begin. Restaurants are replacing women with robots. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
Well, the robots have arrived, at least in Pasadena, California. That's where the world's first ever fully autonomous AI-powered restaurant has opened, complete with burger flipping bots. We sent CBS's Joy Benedict on a taste test.
Flippy the chef makes Spud spectacular. This automated grill gives the meat its sizzle as this restaurant goes robotic.
For this burger, it would take about 120 seconds.
Cali Express by Flippy is the world's first AI-powered eatery. There's new technology outside the kitchen, too.
A cheeseburger.
Order kiosks use facial recognition to remember you, your favorite food, and how you like to pay. Then watch the robots work. No humans required.
We can't get enough people to come out to work on fryers and grills and their dangerous jobs. And this automation helps solve a lot of those issues.
Hello, may I have someone?
62% of restaurants report being understaffed. Industry experts say most of those unfilled jobs could be done by robots. And in California, where the minimum wage for most fast food workers will soon be $20 an hour, fewer workers equals cost savings. Dan Ives is with Wedbush Securities, a wealth management firm.
Once the minimum wage went to 20, that's the bell going off. More and more focus on spending on AI. Because look, that's inflationary. That's the problem. You can't necessarily pass all that to the consumer.
Flippy can cook 250 pounds of French fries an hour. The burger bot, 100 patties.
These restaurants are very, very busy at peak times, and every second that gets added to somebody waiting in the drive-thru is a lost revenue opportunity for that restaurant.
Is it costing people their jobs?
That's not what we've seen. It's really here to help people.
Humans at Cali Express will put the finishing touches on orders. For customers, the price of the meals are competitive. As for taste,
Is it going to affect the quality and the taste?
I would say yes, in a good way, because now each burger is being cooked precisely the same way every time.
time will tell whether AI takes over kitchens everywhere. That will be up to the public to chew on. Joy Benedict, CBS News, Pasadena, California.
So, guys, the truth of the matter is that most of these jobs are being done by women. And as I said countless times, when you look at what's happening with M2, the M2 movement is coming in waves, and it's never going to go away. It's only going to keep on evolving. And you're going to have a lot of women who are going to be in the restaurant industry claiming that this has happened when they were working there. They're going to be going after the customers, the people they work with, and eventually they're going to, they're going to use this as a means of basically saying that they need to be compensated by the restaurants. And as a result of this, that plus, them not wanting to show up for work, bad behavior, disrespect, and a variety of other things, these companies are just going to begin replacing a lot of these jobs with robots. The events of 2020 actually accelerated a direction that society was going in for a long time, which is a society where people no longer want to speak to one another. They no longer want to communicate with one another. The idea of being able to go into a restaurant and not having to ever interact with a single person is extremely attractive for people. And one thing that many of you don't seem to consider is just how much generative AI is advancing and how fast it's advancing. I've said this already, that going very soon, very, very soon, when you, for example, call customer service, for an issue, you're not going to be speaking to a person. You're going to be speaking to a bot, generative AI, and it's going to be better for many people. Speaking to it, it's going to have a natural you're going to have like natural conversations. If you look at what the with the Amazon Echo devices, what's happening right now is they're getting generative AI where you're going to be able to have natural conversations with them. And of course, it's going to take time for them to continually advance, but eventually you're going to get to the point where it's just like speaking to a normal person. That's where it's getting to at this moment. And if you use Chat GPT, you'll see that. And it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be good enough. And you're going to be speaking to someone in customer service and like an AI chatbot when you call in, and it's just basically going to say, okay, how can I help you, blah blah blah. You'll respond, they'll say, okay, so it sounds like you're having a problem with this, would you like me to do this? And then you'll respond and say, well, no, I need this done. Okay, well, let me have a look. And it's going to be able to pull up information faster than a human being would be able to do it. And in many cases, a company would rather, which would 10 times rather have you speak to the bot and even give you money, free money, than having to get you over to a person. What do I mean by this? So for example, you call in and let's say your cell phone bill is $30 a month, right? And it's like there's an issue and you call and you're like, well, there are charges and it's not supposed to be this amount, and you're arguing over $5. And here's what will ultimately end up happening: the company will either refuse to compensate you for that $5, or they will just give you the $5, and that's really it. They're not going to let you speak to a person. They're going to fight it too in there, and everything's going to go through the automated system, and it's going to be more or less like that, because if you speak to a person, if they let you speak to a person, it is going to cost them essentially like $30 to have you interact with a person. Like, think about it. It's the amount of money it's going, even if they're using an overseas call center, it's going to cost them more in the long term to employ a person that would be there to speak to you versus just giving you that compensation. And again, and they're not going to want to do that, because ultimately it's just literally you having an argument with a person. These jobs are going away, and when you look at the restaurant industry, many people would like to be able to order their meal and not have a face-to-face interaction with another human being. Most men today don't actually want to speak to most women in society because they're afraid of being M2, they're being afraid of being called creeps. There's this continuous gripe. And of course, there are going to be the simps and a lot of women who are going to say, don't talk about us, talk about the individual. But a lot of men absolutely dread interactions with women in modern day society because they don't want to be mislabeled. They don't want to be shamed. They just don't want the stress. And as a result, this would be very, very appealing, and not just appealing for men. There's also a lot of women who don't want, who are just living this life as well. And the idea of being able to go into a McDonald's and McDonald's will have to catch up. Will have to, and of course, and they'll rise to the challenge. Going into a restaurant where your meals will always be perfectly cooked. There's no more human interaction, so your burgers will always be consistently good. So because of this, because the process is going to be reduced so much, these restaurants won't need to have a bunch of people, this person doing this person doing that. You'll have one person in the kitchen doing all of this work, one person that is properly trained doing all of this work. And if it becomes too expensive to have a woman working there, because she might say that, well, the customers and the clients or this or that, they'll just have a man back there. They'll have one man back there, one brother or one Italian guy, whatever. All right, working back there in that kitchen, just putting those meals together, or some guy who's fresh off the boat, some Vietnamese uncle who's just cursing in Cantonese and just putting those meals together, all right, with a toothpick in their mouth. And that's really how it's going to be. And of course, I told you 100% we are heading towards a UBI, or universal basic income. We are definitely heading towards a universal basic income, because a lot of these jobs are going to vanish, and a lot of these jobs are going to vanish because of the behaviors and the actions of women in modern day society. That entire fight for 15 thing that happened years ago, and now the $20 an hour in California, that's all modern women. This was not men. It wasn't men fighting for this. This was all women fighting to be paid, large amounts of money for small amounts of work. And this is this, and what ends up happening? They're like, oh, we're gonna get our money. Well, ladies, you played yourselves, because what will just end up happening is, trust me, these companies, they prioritize profit over everything else. Even when it comes to companies that are promoting feminism, they're only doing it for profit. Okay, and if it becomes too unprofitable, then you'll be amazed how quickly they start to change things up. They will always prioritize profit, 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 and companies who fail to do that will ultimately end up shuttering down. If you look at what's happening with Budweiser right now, the company is struggling. They lost tens of billions of dollars. Tens of billions of dollars. If you look at what's happening at Disney right now, Disney is in such bad shape. There are reports that the company might be sold. Disney? Like, they are literally begging Apple to buy them. And the truth is that Disney may end up being bought, but maybe not by Apple, but they could end up being bought by, for example, by Microsoft. No one's thinking about this. Apple is no longer the world's most valuable company. They may very well end up being the world's most valuable company again, but they are no longer the world's most valuable company. Microsoft is now the world's most valuable company, and Microsoft is now worth a couple $1 trillion. So they picked up Activision Blizzard. Disney's in the gutter, and it would not be far-fetched for Microsoft to just buy out Disney. And the saying is basically this: go woke, get woke, go woke, go broke. Guys, if you're enjoying this content, please help get the channel to 100,000 subscribers on our journey to 2 million by subscribing to the channel if you already haven't, liking the video, and turning on notifications to never miss another video ever again. Restaurants are replacing women with robots. I want to know your thoughts regarding this. So let's talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and cheers.